For those of you out there looking for a self-defense or carry conceal handgun and you're extremely limited on your funds, I present to you this handgun as an option. This is a Smith & Wesson Sigma. This particular one is chambered in 40 cal. There's been a lot of people talking smack about this handgun. I've owned Sigmas before. This is my current Sigma and I carry conceal this one at the moment right now. This Sigma is a real nice handgun for the price. You're looking at a $300 or less handgun. Sometimes it's a little bit slightly more, but on average you see this right around $300, and sometimes you'll even see them on sale for 250 bucks. They come in two chamberings. You got the 40 cal, which I have right here, and you've got the 9mm. Now this thing is pretty much a poor man's Glock, and I'll show that to you here in a minute. The internals are pretty much exactly like Glock. In fact, Smith & Wesson had a lawsuit filed against them from Glock when this particular handgun came out in the 90s because it was pretty much just like a Glock. Smith & Wesson had to change a couple small things in order to settle the lawsuit and to continue production of this pistol. Now, one of the things they had to change was the trigger. The trigger pull is heavy on this sucker. You're looking at about 8 to 9 pounds. When you compare it to an XD or a Glock, it's heavy, and a lot of people don't like that. But if you take it out and shoot it a couple times, the trigger has a real good consistency to it. You know exactly when it's going to break. You take it out and shoot it, and you get used to it just like any other handgun. You get used to that particular handgun, and you'll find that the trigger is not much of an issue at all. I don't mind heavy triggers. They don't bother me. I can shoot well with them. And I kind of like the idea of having a heavy trigger, so that way in a self-defense situation, the only way I know that trigger is going to be pulled is if I have a definitive action of squeezing that trigger. Now the trigger itself, you can see here, it mimics the Glock safety right here. You've got the little safety bar right here, so that way the only way the trigger sear will be dropped is by pulling the trigger. There's also drop safety. The safeties are pretty much almost exactly like the Glock safeties. The only difference is the trigger mechanism was changed a little bit so that way they could settle a lawsuit. 14+1 capacity with the 40 cal, 16+1 with the 9mm. Straightforward design. Grip angle is almost like a Glock's. You can see the sights, standard 3-dot sights. Very clean lines. You can see the slide stop, slide release is about the same as a Glock, a little bit bigger. The takedown is pretty much just like a Glock. So if you're familiar with the Glock models, you'll be familiar with this. And you can see right off the bat, you can see the internals. Compare this with the Glock's internals, and it's almost a spitting image. That's why I call this the poor man's Glock. Here is the slide assembly with the barrel and recoil guide rod and spring. Pretty much just like a Glock. Very, very reliable pistol. I've owned these before and I've never had issues with them. Some people said they've had issues with them, and it kind of comes with the territory. Sometimes you get a couple lemons, especially when you're talking more budget priced pistols, but sometimes you even get lemons with more expensive pistols like HKs, SIGs, and Kimbers are a few that come to mind. You're talking $800 to $1,000 pistols that'll produce lemons that rust or just fail to function for whatever reason. So I recommend this gun. Like I said, I carry it right now. It carries very well. I carry inside the waistband. I have no issues with it printing or anything like that, even in t-shirts, polo shirts, summer dress, summer attire. So check it out. Give it a good, honest look. It's a very simple pistol. The one drawback is if you want to attach a light or a laser, you're going to have to get an adapter, because you can see this does have a kind of rail system, but it's a proprietary made by Smith & Wesson. Not sure why they did that. You'll have to get an attachment that will clamp over this and will give you a 1913 rail right here, so that way you can put whatever lights, lasers, or attachments you want on this particular gun. So that's another drawback. Then again, I'm using this gun as a carry conceal, so I'm not worried about that sort of thing. So I hope you found this a little bit informative, and I hope to do some shooting videos here in the near future, show this thing in action to show it that it works just fine. So feel free to leave any questions or comments, and thanks for watching.